All right, today we'll be talking a little bit more about national import and export regulations. A lot more goes into that than you would naturally think. For example, the requirement and duties, that general rules, assessment duties, values of transactions, drawbacks, and so much more. And then overall, I think that the plenty of requirements that are put on imports need to be met, and it varies anywhere from the assessment duties to marking and standard requirements. You can take note that there are different types of goods and the value and the originating points of those goods. As soon as it all is countered into the estimate, then you will have a determining factor of an approximate total of the goods. We have general and additional rules of interpretation, which provide for interpretation of the guidelines from the harmonized tariff schedules. It is important because it is used to determine the goods and the date of importation. It is intended for the goods that are being used to be good as well. And then in addition, it provides proof of it being used or having record of it within a 3-year range after the date that's been printed on it. The primary rule of interpretation is the specificity, and this requires the use of CPP and the selections of the heading and subheading to be clear and precise on the description of the goods, of course. Now you may be wondering about the assessment duties and how those functions work. Well, let me help you. It is pretty much the evaluation of goods, the country of origin, the classification of the goods to be imported, and it is used to determine what it will be owed as a total in the end of exportation or importation. Now there is a difference between the Mexican and the United States border. For U.S. has a maquiladora. This is qualified space at the manufacturing operation of a free trade zone. So this pretty much makes about half of Mexico's exports. Now, going back to the Tariff Act of 1930, the marking requirement states that every article of foreign imports into the United States shall be marked in a conspicuous place in a manner as to indicate an ultimate purchaser of the English name, such as the country of origin. This portion ultimately remains unchanged, and it can range anywhere from the variety of goods to all sorts of uses and purposes of that good. It is very invaluable documentation that it is being provided, and it is also used as proof that all rules and regulations are being followed accordingly. Lastly, you will be provided with the documentation that can continue to import into the United States, and this ultimately allows for a smooth and easier process, thus satisfying the United States highly technical marking requirements. Since all and most of the goods are freely imported and exported without guidelines being violated, it is usually easier to maintain this way. And it also helps for the United States to have a lot more alliances within and out in the United States, within the country, honestly. What I primarily believe to be the most important key concept of the chapter is the rules and regulations and the marking of labeling all the goods. I do so because you, as a purchaser and a consumer, should be able to know whether the goods are good or not. And I don't believe I know a person who does not like to, I do not believe that I think I know a person who does not like to know whether they can or cannot use a good or whether it is expired or not. And these markings usually help conduct whether the food is healthy or unhealthy as well, because it provides you with a allowance of information such as the declaration of identity, the responsibilities, the name and address of the manufacturing company, as well as the factor and distributor. It will furthermore include net quantity, servings, and or uses of this product. With all of this being provided, I would not have a high regard on it for I would be able to know whether I can consume it, as I had said previously. And ultimately, I think that this marking portion within the chapter is to be the most important key concept, and I hope you agree. Ciao.